Coach. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. So again, like Coach said, we're going to talk about using condensed formations in our run and pass game. So before I start, I always like to kind of give a little bit of intro on myself. I've been coaching since 2013. I actually started my coaching career back at where I played, so the top left corner, and I was lucky enough in my very first year coaching won a state championship. I mean, not that many people can say that, and it's kind of followed me throughout my career a little bit coaching-wise, so I can say I've been kind of lucky. Top right screen, I went back and coached at my alma mater, Endicott College in Beverly, Massachusetts, Division III school. From there, I moved down to the bottom left to Carmel, New York. And then the past 3 seasons, I've been at New Canaan, Connecticut. Two as the offensive coordinator. My first year there, I was become a coach, and give back to the game that kind of helped me become who I am. And to do that is to have somebody at home that believes in football. It was my wife, so she's been awesome there in football. She understands the time commitments. And then, this past season, we welcomed son. And so, I've heard a lot of coaches say that they become better coaches after having a child, because now when I'm coaching, I want to try to be the coach that I hope my son will have one day. So, because there's people that trust us with their kids, I want to be that good coach that every parent sees on the sideline that is kind of motivating their kid, caring for their kid just like they're their own. So now, I kind of have a son, and that's my new motivation in kind of coaching every single year. So let's go into it. So again, our offense this past year, we averaged about 35 points a game. We were 66% run to 34% pass. I'm very, very analytical in what I do. We have a formula for success. We review each game we need to do to be successful to kind of win a game. And the one thing that we talk about all the time is our step one is protect the baby. We have on first down, we want to gain 4 yards or more. And that's kind of where kind of this offense leads into, right? 4 yards is fun, right? We want to make sure on every single football play we get 4 yards, because that's a successful football play in our eyes. This past season, we had 621 offensive snaps. And of that, 169 were condensed. So 29% of our plays were out of a condensed variety of them. 121 runs, 71% run, 48 passes, that's 29. So kind of balance out a little bit there, kind of a little bit more run towards it. But you have to be able to throw out of those sets to kind of keep defenses honest. So we talk about why we use condensed sets, right? Create space, right? A lot of times people think that you're condensing the formation, you're bringing everybody in. How do you create space with that? Well, you're creating space outside on the perimeter, right? You want to be able to get your athletes the ball out in space. Do it by creating space out wide. You want to bring everybody in the defense in by condensing the formation, and then that way there's more space outside once we get outside, right? Next one is defensive lines, right? So again, they're going to line up to it, right? So that will help in scouting, right? You'll be able to for the past 3 years. So we have a good idea on how certain teams will line up to it. So this year we got a little bit more creative, which we'll kind of get into in our film. Again, the third point is it makes defenses think, right? Our head coach says all the time, if you think, you stink, right? And then another phrase that I heard from my previous coach that I worked for was he would always say paralysis by analysis. So kind of leads in that same direction where you have somebody thinking, they're going to pause and not going to be able to play as fast, right? And as coaches, we always tell our kids, want to play fast, play fast, play fast, right? But if they take a second to think and try to analyze the play or formation, whatever it may be, the play might be passive. They might not be able to react in time. And the last point is something that I truly believe is that we're playing against players, not coaches, right? On Fridays and Saturdays, you're not playing against a defensive coordinator on the other side. Right? You're playing against 13, 14, 15, 16-year-old kids that maybe just got broken up with or was up the other night studying for a test, right? All those little factors go into play. So when you can really think about, okay, I'm trying to confuse a high school student and not the other coach, that makes your job a little harder. Last year, one of my seniors came up to me and said, hey, coach, how are we going to confuse high school students this week? Right? So I knew, okay, they fully bought it and they understand what kind of the game plan goes, how we game plan, and what we're thinking when we're putting in things. So then the how, right? So the way that we call our condensed formation. We call them nasty, right? We tag a nasty to any of our formations. That can be tagged to a formation. That can be tagged to a specific player. I'll go to our next slide to kind of describe it. So again, how, right? Our 3x1 formations, we have a lot just because we move specific receivers around depending on the name of our formation. Any of our 3x1 calls, we're going to start with a T. Any of our 2x2s will start with a D. So this is thug right. This is our base 3x1 here that we'll start with. It's our normal alignments, right? The Z will be top of the numbers. The Y will split between the Z and the end man line of scrimmage. And then the H will split between the Y and the end man line of scrimmage. Right? Those are their standard base alignments. So when we get into our nasty stuff, they will be able to understand that. Who's left? Balls. And we go thug right, nasty. Because we have, we determine which side is the strength of the formation with our right and left calls. We go thug right, nasty. The entire right side of the formation will condense down, right? So it all starts with the Z, right? So the Z will line up 3 to 5 yards away from the end man line of scrimmage. You knew from the previous standard alignments that the Y will line up, split the difference between the Z and the end man line of scrimmage. And the H will split the difference between the Y and the end man line of scrimmage, right? Because I only said thug right nasty, the X will line up in a standard outside receiver. He'll still be split out wide. We went deuce right double nasty, right? The double will talk to both sides, right? So now I showed you deuce left, which was one of our standard formations. We had a double nasty tag to it. Now both sides will condense. If I just went deuce right nasty, just the right side will condense. The left side will stay split out with their normal spread alignments. Right? But you're just moving different receivers around. And so I talked about having specific tags and letters, right? So again, dime left off, Z nasty, right? So now the dime left off, right, is just a tight end off the ball here on the left-hand side. But we tag a Z nasty to it. The Z will tighten his split because the H is standard alignment, splitting the difference between the outside receiver and the end man line of scrimmage. He will condense down, right? So as long as your receivers understand the base alignment of where they're supposed to be and their rules, this is easy for our kids to understand. Right? This last one here, right? Trio left double nasty, empty. Right? So again, it's just double nasty, but now we add an empty tag to it. Our empty tells our running back he's going to line up as a slot receiver away from the call side. So the call side is left. We tag an empty to it. He becomes a slot receiver to the right. Because it's double nasty, he lines up splitting the difference between the Z and the end man line of scrimmage. So let's get into some clips here, right? So again, if I were to say what are the play that we hang our hat on the most at Canaan is our toss, our pinfall plays, right? So again, this is something that we do a lot of. We do a lot of different ways. It's simple for us. We have receivers and tight ends that can block, and we have athletic linemen that can get out in space, right? Anytime that I can get our tackles and guards out, that's a plus for me, right? Because any corner or safety, when you see a big lineman running at you, that's not a good matchup. So we run this toss into the boundary. I also love running into the boundary, by the way. You're going to see a lot of that. And so again, here, you have a tight end that comes down on the end. You have the Z receiver that cracks on the stand-up. Right? And now we pull our inside receiver for the corner. We get our guard and tackle out in space. Right now we're going to leave. We want a safety or a corner making the play. All right, so here we're thug left nasty. Right, so again we're down to the boundary here. Because it's just the left-hand side or receiver at the top of the screen, he's still going to split out. Okay. All we did here is we just tagged a little motion to this. Get guard in, tackle both out. Nice kick out by the receiver on the corner. The backside safety makes a bad angle, and our running back steps out of bounds, unfortunately. Here. Otherwise, that's a nice little explosive play for us. This is one here, right? So again, tight end trips, right? No trips. A lot of people we experiment with this a lot, right? So a lot of teams, are they going to align to the tight end? What are they going to do to the backside? So now here we got buck sweep a little bit with us this past year where we were able to run to the tight end or we were able to run our toss. We would have some kind of check with knees at the line of scrimmage to kind of see how the defense aligned, and we would run it off that. But here we're still running our toss here. Again, here, all of these, right, we're getting at least 4 yards, right? At least 4 yards, and that's something that we kind of strive for every single play. Little tight shot here. And you see the linebacker number 33 here trying to get everybody to adjust. Successful play for us. All right, so now we're in 2x2, right? Double nasty. Motion over. Right now we're in the 3 receiver set here. Now we're running our toss down into the boundary. This here is great because we're in this 2x2 balance set, if you want to call it, because we have a running back and pistol. Teams really can't declare what they want to do. So this is another one of those sets where we can line up, check with me at the line of scrimmage, and see, hey, do we want to run to the 1 or do we want to run to the 3? Right? This clip here, right? We always want to try to run to the 1, just because that way we're guaranteed to get at least our guard and tackle both out on the blocking team. It's an easier kind of reach here for our center. Even though the 1 almost gets there, right? We're fast enough here. This is one here, right? We get to an unbalanced look here, right? So again, we're in sub right nasty, and we call it X over, right? So all it does is just bring the X over, and all we're doing here is we're trying to create a matchup here. We know that our tight end, right, for this game here, I told my tight end, hey, you put your hand down. You don't have to be in a 2-point stance. Seeing if they're going to bring extra guys over, right? And at the end of the day here, this matchup here, if you have a dude, we have a pretty good player here, number 14, try to get him the ball in different ways, right? And you'll see a clip later on. He uses his formation, kind of set up a matchup for us. But we're still running our pin pull stuff here, right? But instead of running all the way outside, right, it's still going to hit right inside here, right? Right outside the tackle, right outside the puller. We're not trying to get all the way outside to where this X is. Okay? You see, that's where the hole is there, right? The line understands, the pullers understand that's where we're trying to go. Our kick understands, and he cuts up inside. Again, right? We want to get somebody to tackle, right? Let's get a safety, try to come down and tackle, corner to try to tackle. And the one adjustment we made here was what we did was we had the receiver that was over. We would just have him push, right? We had him push crack onto the safety. Okay, let me see if I can get a tight shot here. Really good here. All right, perfect. All right, so again, we game planned this one here where we knew that this is going to hit right kind of on this angle here, this path, right? Kind of right off to where the X or the Z would crack on the safety. And he's coming down. You see that's where it hits. Right? Running back is patient enough to let the lineman, let our receivers get out and block. And that's where it ends up hitting. Right? We're asking the corner to kind of fall in and try to make a tackle. Right? If he makes a tackle, that's fine. Still 14 yards down the field. Right? That's a successful play for us. We're in that nub tight end look again, right? So again, tight end trips over here. We're in this nasty. We're in a wildcat look, right? So we're running just GF here. Do a long trap. We're going to bring the running back as a puller. Right? So our left guard is going to pull, kick, and then a line of scrimmage. We have our running back coming through as the puller. Now we start getting a couple different schemes that we also run out of this set. And so here's our buck sweep. Get a tight shot at this. Right. Look all the numbers that you have over here, right? So to the right of the start, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys over to the right. And so the team starts to overload that side. As teams start to overload that side, get good angles over here on the left side. A little bit of a game plan thing to kind of let this stand-up linebacker go so we can get to that linebacker. Get a nice explosive play out of this. And a base basket. Run again here. He ends up making the business decision and doesn't want to get a part of it. Let's see the tight shot here. Getting really good angles. Tackle kind of loses it a little bit, right? But get just enough of them. Make a play. Tight shot of this. Here we go. Right. So again, right, we talk about teams overloaded. Right. So to the left of the center, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys. Right. 7 guys to the left to our nasty set. Right. To our bunch, to our condensed. We got 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right of the center. Right. So here, just running zone. Right, zone to the right. Don't dig out his tackle for his nose. We're able to get an explosive good run with it. Okay, so again, we do this enough here where you start to get a lot of overload here because everybody wants to stop all of our toss plays. Right? Everyone's trying to stop our outside runs to this side. And now, okay, I'm a play caller. I see up in the booth. Okay, now they're starting to overload. All right, let's go the other way. So here we're running zone 2. Tight shot here. We're running zone 2 our bunch. Nasty set here. Right, so everybody's just kind of going, working double team to the right. We'll also run outside zone to our receivers as well. Right, get them into the blocking team. Here our running back does a good job pushing frontside A. We get a good double here by the backside tackling guard. There's the cut. Right. He gets vertical and he finishes the play. And this is late in the game. Here's one we're running zone to the receivers again. I think the big key to this, right, is you got to have receivers that are able to block, tight ends that are able to kind of get their noses dirty and not be afraid to block in the box, right? Because a lot of times blocking in the box, it's a different type of blocking, right? You're not on the perimeter, right? You gotta have some grit, you gotta have some toughness to be able to block in there, right? And our receivers coach does a great job at really instilling that in our receivers, making them want to block. Get excited about blocking just as they would about catching the deep pass. Here, right, we're in an unbalanced look. It's hard to tell here. We don't have a tight shot of that, but we're in an unbalanced look here. Right, so again, right, kind of giving different looks here to the defense. Changing it up. This was late in the game here. I think we needed a first down to end the game. Right? So, to give an unbalanced look in the last 4 minutes of the game, right, really confuses the players on the field, right? It's going to make them communicate. Right, so again, right, our first, the plays that I was saying that we hang our hat on is our pinfall toss, right? So now off that we have our naked series, right? Easy way to get our playmakers the ball. And you see their eyes here, you see the flow, you even see the corner up at the top of the screen, number 2. He jumps this thinking that it's going to be a toss. Now we're going the other way. That's a nice explosive play there. Right on 32. look here, right? We know that our tight end here, he's covered. Easy way to get our guys the ball. He's covered. Now quarterback looks at the next. He gets the over. Good shot at this here. And they were kind of waiting for this too, right? They floated it a little bit. So here, right, we added shift to this. This is actually our first play of the game. And Nguyen kind of knocked this one down a little bit. Let's see for the tight shot here. Called shot here for us. Nguyen kind of pushes it. Guys down a little bit, otherwise he's going to 6. And so I talked about knowing what you're going to know, what to call in certain situations, kind of game plan it up. So here we knew that he got covered too. So we have corner here, corner here. We knew that they were going to be in the flat. This corner has his half, the corner safety, his 2 safeties deep that have their deep halves. Right? So again, here all we did, pretty much it's a Yankee concept, right? So we had 2 posts by the front side X and the Y, and we had a crosser by the Z, right? What else we did with this, right? We were just going to high-low the corner, right? So we added a push motion here to kind of hold this corner down and to create a void in this little pocket here, right? Because we knew the 2 posts were going to take this safety out. We knew that the push motion was going to bring down this corner. So on 3rd and 6 here. Right, so again, that push motion here brought that corner out. We had the 2 posts up at the top that's going to occupy that front side safety up here. We had a crosser coming over the top. Right, quarterback just gets this off. Right, but he knew where he was going with it. Right, so again, right, you got to be able to game plan. You got to be able to scout. You know the defensive alignments, right? That's going to help you kind of know what you're going to call in certain situations. And so in here, right, we knew that we were getting a quarters look in our 2x2. And so again, everybody, right, if we have quarter, they were all staying there. Right? We knew that the linebackers were heavy on the running back and any of the fakes. And so just a simple stick concept here for us. And you can see it here from the tight shot. You see the left inside linebacker. Takes just a step here, which creates a void for our quarterback to fit it in. Again, we're condensed look here. Right, we're running vertical switches. And you've seen a lot already of number 14. I was trying to get him the ball here. All they did was they kind of bracketed him here. Somebody underneath, somebody over the top. Now quarterback knows, okay, this is probably going to be off. We're going to play the vertical switch. Right, I already mentioned, right, game planning and knowing what the defense was going to do. So again, 3rd down situations, right? We knew that we were going to get man coverage. And so again, we get into our condensed set here. We're going to leave our X one-on-one on the outside. But what we're going to do here is we're going to take one of our running backs, bring in receiver/running back, really good player for us. We put him at in an empty slot look. And we kind of kept it nasty. And all we were going to do, very similar to kind of what you guys see now in the NFL and even college, that match traffic look where everybody's coming across. You're slipping somebody underneath or bringing somebody underneath over the line of scrimmage. All we did here was kind of have him start in the backfield, because we knew we were getting man coverage here. We're getting all 3 receivers here running across the field, almost trying to set a pick, but trying to just get out of the way. 42 has a hard time here trying to catch up. Right, so same game here later in the game, right? We did it once with the running back coming behind the line of scrimmage. Now all we did here, instead of, right, they weren't giving us man coverage, right? We knew specifically, like when they lined up specific ways, we knew what coverage we were going to get. We knew we were getting a zone look here. So now instead of having the running back hide underneath, because there's no reason to kind of hide him, we were just going to have the Z come across over the line of scrimmage here. Right? Same concept here. Very much like mesh, right? But it makes it an easier read for the quarterback. He knows where he's going with it. Right? Getting our guys on the run. Right? So again, 3rd and 11, complete for a completion, right? Again, quarterback threw this ball like 7 yards, our playmakers. Let them do all of the work for us. Another thing I love doing, right? Talk about getting our skilled guys the ball in space. Here we go, unbalanced, right? Running our jet touch pass. Right? Great thing I love about this is if the receiver drops this, it counts as an incomplete pass. Right? So one thing that we change here. But when we get our receivers blocking, we add our running back into it. So now we're +1 in a blocking game with our running back added to it. And it just gets our guys the ball as fast as they can, or as fast as we can, so they can move. Another look here. And we're also here. We're also in an unbalanced look. Right? So we're running jet here to the right to our condensed sets, and we're also unbalanced with it. So again, here we're tight end, double nasty on both sides. I put this clip in here, right? I've been kind of harping on, scouting and knowing what the defense was going to do. We knew that we were going to get a specific blitz here, and our quarterback checked to it. We were running toss. Initially, we were running toss here, but you're going to see these guys start to creep up. Our quarterback sees that, tells, he checks it. See that little hand motion right here? He checks a certain play that we've been working for. Receiver sees it here. That we're getting some type of flat, hard corner that's sitting. Works by it. Quarterback puts it in a good spot here. And you let these guys do what they do with the ball in their hands. So again, right, get the ball to your playmakers any way that you can, whether you're running it, tossing it, screens, and checks in this matter. Get the ball and let them go. Right, so again, this was a state championship game, 3rd and 9. We were running toss already. This is our one shot at this here. And we take the toss. We put them on a post here. And unfortunately, we were just fingertip away. Thank God this didn't have any effect on the game. But right, you see here, you see the safeties, their eyes, right, both of them in the backfield, wait for this toss. We have somebody running down the field. And so again, right, just creating matchups different ways, using those condensed sets. And you've seen how we hang our hat on that pin pull look that we do, and we do a lot of things off of that. At the end of the day, I've taken a lot of things from other coaches that I've worked with and things that I've seen in a lot of clinics. I don't count myself to be an expert in any of it. We all use the same thing, right? Everybody does a version of bug sweep. There are different ways to make it seem like we made it up, right? But again, it's all just kind of regurgitated stuff that everybody uses. Everybody does the exact same way. There's a million ways to skin a cat. This is just kind of the way that we do things at Canaan, and we're pretty successful with what we do because our kids understand it, and they enjoy it and they understand the process of it. So that's how we use condensed sets at Canaan.
How many, because again, some messages and just my curiosity, how many condensed sets do you try to carry week to week or throughout the season?
Week to week, for us, it's more about the formation itself. Like we'll carry that same formation, But throughout the game, we might change it. We might have to go off script. And the beauty of that is our kids will understand our rules of all of our kind of run game, our blocking assignments, that if we did need to add it in there, it's nothing hard for them. When we always do teach our run game, we always teach with the tight end. Teach with a tight end and take them away, then try to teach without a tight end, and then add them after the fact, because then the tackle is trying to figure out how to block specific plays. But with our condensed stuff, we're always going to run our pin pull stuff. We're always going to run our zone stuff. The tricky part is when we start to get into our GTs and GYs, because then obviously, the front might change. It might look a little bit different because you have those extra receivers that might be the ones pulling, because, we'll also have them pull too. But it kind of depends game plan wise. But we'll always kind of keep our traditional, our buck, and our pin pull toss. We'll always have that in our game plans. We'll dress it up different ways, but those are the things that we'll always carry.
Okay, and the last question I got for you is when you're game planning your condensed sets, are you looking for other condensed sets when you're watching film? Are people run against them? Or are you trying to figure out their rules to see what might affect them? How are you game planning kind of what condensed set you're going to bring in that week, or are there your primary ones?
That's a good question. I always will always scouting wise, we'll look through and I'll have my receiver coach. He tags all the formations for me if I don't. And we'll filter out right away. We'll see, hey, who's running condensed sets against them, right? And then obviously we'll be able to find their rules that way, because if you know the defense's rules against specific formations and how they line up to specific things, then it's easier as a game planner, and it's easier to game plan because you know what they're going to do. You know what they're going to give you, right? I always, it gives me a headache sometimes trying to put in different formations and try to guess. It's, hey, if we go on balance here, we go on balance there. I have to try to guess throughout the week when I'm drawing up cards how they're going to align to it. But if I already have a team that already does that, it helps me in that regard, try to find out their rules.
Okay. Well, coaches, give Coach a follow on X, Twitter. Reach out to me or there, or on the Gmail that's on the screen. Don't hesitate to ask me questions on this or anything else they might do. Coach gets back to you pretty quickly and pretty readily. Coach, any last thoughts before we move on to our next speaker?
No, thank you very much. Appreciate you having me on.